and fly, wild ones. It's Bernadette. I'm here with your pick a card tarot reading for Friday, February 25th, 2021. It's the throat chakra day. It is the Venus day. Ruling planet of today is Venus. And if you saw yesterday's reading with Pigeon, working in deep relationship with Pigeon energy, Pigeon medicine as a spirit totem and power animal, to heal and examine your feelings of self-worth, whatever they turn out to be, you're just going to fall out of your chair when you see that today is yet another bird, and it's the white peacock, which in my deck, which is what I read from, the Arcanimal Tarot and Oracle deck, it is the Nine of Pentacles. Now, in traditional tarot card meanings, when you've got a Nine of Pentacles that's inverted, it really can suggest a premature withdrawal from the material world so that you can pursue what you think are loftier goals, which is so interesting because yesterday was all about you finding the value of your own home and coming to understand that no matter what you said, what you've done, no matter what choices you've made, you are worthy inside and out. So, but the focus was really more on within. Well, today the focus is on value, on money, on finances, but on the outside, suggesting that what was told to me yesterday about, I think I said something like, I would bet, I would truly put money on it, I would bet that a goodly amount of, I don't think I've ever used the word goodly before. That seems like a strange word. But anyway, but yesterday we talked about the Rothschilds and how they amassed their wealth because they were able to get information to and from their financial houses faster than anybody else. So they always had kind of the inside poop on everything. And goodly is definitely definitely a word that was used during those times. So I just wanted to say, now would be a really good time to maybe even start tracing your ancestry, because there's something within that word, that jargon, that's more from that time. That's always a clue for me that people, it's a good idea to start looking to the ancients for wisdom, or looking back through your family to see kind of, where the branches are. So anyway, when we get to the Nine of Pentacles inverted, it's a time that's like, okay, well, let's say you're working on feelings of self-worth, okay? And let's say it is financial, and you're like, ooh, I really want to buy that $20 lotto ticket. This is an extreme circumstance, right? And I'm not a financial advisor of any kind, especially since I'm saying, you're going through this thing about a lotto ticket, right? But then you're like, oof, I don't want to spend the extra $20. If you got a $20 one, or you can get 20 of the $1 ones, right? Whatever it is. And you're like, oh, I really want it. I really want it. Nine of Pentacles asks you not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, to stop and consider that maybe that message is a download from spirit. Now, what's crazy interesting about all that is, I'm just going to hold, I'm going to hold the card upright. When we talk about peacocks, little known fact about peacocks, all the shimmer in their feathers, whether they're, those brilliantly colored like teals and greens and luscious purples and deep blues, or they are the solid white peacocks, in their feathers, especially in the eye portion. And you can take a look at this picture right over, I never remember, oh yeah, over there. You take a look at that picture right there and see how in the macro shot, in the close-up shot of that peacock feather, you can see what looks to be like shiny beads. Those are actually crystals, and they're eensy beensy. And they are, they're called, hold on, I'll look it up and tell you before we get off the horn here. But, what that tells me is that when photonic crystals, that's it, photonic crystals. And what photonic crystals do is they control the amount of light that comes through them, or they shut it off completely and they don't let the light through, which means they are rulers of light and dark. And so because of that, you're really being asked to see what is light and what is darkness. And that has to do with illusion and fooling yourself. So like, listen, tell me you guys don't bite on the emails that come through, in terrible English, and somebody's always got a tragedy, and they're going to wire you $45 bajillion. You'd be surprised how many people fall for that. But that would be a way of you looking through that crystallized eye and keeping the dark out while keeping yourself in the light. And an example of that is this. I get that kind of stuff all the time. Comic, Scorpio, they're... Yikes. You can't even know the things that go through my head. And first of all, nobody should ever waste their time, you know, getting back with those people, because they don't care. They don't. And it's just a waste of your time, and it's living in that negativity. So even down to that, like if you're having a super bad day and somebody sends you something, and I encourage you that letting the light in through the crystals in your own eyes, and I'm talking about these eyes, I am talking about these eyes, I'm talking about anything through your body that you see through, which is your gut, because that's one of your biggest spidey sense portals, is right there in the solar plexus chakra. And even in your throat, I know that you can feel when someone's speaking to you in a way that's not acceptable, that you don't care for, whether they're telling you a lie, or they're not being very nice, or whatever, maybe they're trying to baby you or mother you. It can go to the opposite thing. They can do that. But the peacock is telling you two things. Please remember that white is always associated with angels and the divine. And when you consider the crystal formation in their feathers, because the article, I've got an extensive feathers symbolism and meaning article on whatismyspiritanimal.com. The link to it is down in the comments, and it goes through almost every kind of feather. I mean, we didn't go to we went to all the major colors, but not not an offshoot of like cobalt blue. It's just blue. So, but it'll still be really helpful to deeply understand the feather energy, because now that you're talking about bird, feather, and air energy from yesterday, which, remember, that's all about carrying messages, right? Carrier pigeons, the messages in the Rothschilds' wealth houses, and working with that element. Now you're talking about, okay, well, maybe I received that message yesterday, but if I didn't hear it clearly, or I haven't worked with it yet, White Peacock has come in to support, kind of like a posse. They're like, listen to us both. And to support Pigeon, to let you know that, yes, you definitely got to work on whatever that self-worth thing is from yesterday on the inside. But also what was coming through Pigeon yesterday is to work on it on the outside. But today with White Peacock, it really is all about the coin. So back to the lotto ticket thing. Times are tough. That's true. But what if those crystals in your tail feathers... I should have just cut to the chase at the beginning of this, y'all. You got crystals on your hiney. So, use those crystals, because remember, crystals, anything clear amps up the energy of anything that's around it. So that's why clear quartz is used in watches. That's why if you want to amp up the energy of any other stone or crystal, you certainly can use a selenite, or you can use a really good quality quartz crystal, especially the ones with the ghosts in them. Really awesome. So look to see, are you actually being guided? Are you being guided to pick up that ticket? And if you are, or you think you are, and you don't win, you lose $20, can you sit in a place of trust enough to realize that by setting the intention of making up that $20, and then maybe you make 100 more $20, right? And that, what is that amount? 100 times 20 is what, 20,000, I think? So I'm terrible at math, so if I'm wrong, those are the ABCs of me, baby. So take a look at that, because maybe, oh, this is perfect. I've got a gal I'm going to do a reading for next week. And before I could say, la, 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 don't tell me anything, she spit out that she wants to leave one job and go to the other, and she's scared, as anyone would be during these times. A lot of people would during these times, right? And And so if you're looking at not just buying a lotto ticket, but moving from one job to the other, maybe there's a job that you've wanted so long, or you're just so miserable at the job you have now, and it might mean a pay cut. How can you handle that and still come out on the top end financially? I actually have I know you love my stories. So I just talked to one of my BFFs, like super, super, super tight. She's actually the one that goes with me on all the shenanigans and takes the pictures and everything. And she had a circumstance where she just was feeling miserable about a project that could do her and her family a wealth of good. And that's it, a wealth of good. Okay, that's it. You're supposed to have a wealth of good. Holy guacamole. Okay. So rather than using her throat chakra and speaking her truth to the people that she's doing business with, and she just kept hunkering down more and more and more until she just felt so oppressed. It might have been a big, might as well have been a big old John Deere tractor sitting on her chest, right? So, we talked a bit, and she got her gumption up under her, and she called the people she was doing business with, and she came from a place of love, absolutely, but man, she got that throat chakra just a whee! And do you know what? That other party went, why didn't we think of that? Every bit of this, which was extensive, might I add, they were like, well, this makes the whole thing better. And all of a sudden, the weight of the world, the misery, the fear, the just, I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to, it just dissipated in the blink of an eye. And so because this is a financial thing for this person, immediately she knows that the money is going to be way, way, way bigger, way more of it than what she ever thought before. I mean, even if you think of it from a metaphysical aspect, when she sparkled and shone her crystals all over the place, right? And you can even imagine the crystals being in your eyes, so that when you're deciding, because remember, these are photonic crystals, you can let the light in, or you can let the light in and you can keep the dark out. Okay. So when you're thinking about that, remember, when all you're seeing is the darkness, you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And, a wealth of good and the light at the end of the tunnel and all of those things, that is a call for you. Yes, that's about hope, and yes, it's about belief, but it's so, so much deeper than that. It's about setting your intention and being willing to see what's really there inside of you. What is stopping you? What is blocking you? What is your fear? What is any of that? What is preventing you from sparkling the crystals on your hiney, right? So I say it in jest, but actually not really, because I talk to people every week that are so miserable in their jobs. They've got physical ailments because of it. And I always tell them, well, don't let the door hit you in it when you leave, and make sure that's the last they see of you is that walking out the door, right? Because here's the immutable truth of that. If you're not the leader, you're only ever going to have one view. If you're not the leader of the pack, but you're the pack following behind, essentially, until you're the last dog or wolf or whatever in a pack, in a tribe, in a clutch, in whatever, formation of birds, you see one thing, and that's the person's hiney in front of you. Now, that may to some of you all seem like she's going off the reservation, but it's really not, and I'll tell you why. Some of us do okay financially because we work very hard. But in that, I know people that work very, very hard that cannot ever seem to get ahead. And it will always boil down to their feelings of worth about money. It will always come down to their feelings of worth as regards to being able to earn or create. And all of our lives, what have we heard? You got to work hard to get what you want. You got to work hard to get what you want. What if that's not true? What if you just have to work smart to get what you want? And what if you actually replace the word work with the word create? And see, that's what I do every day. Now, I'm not saying, Bernadette, is wealthy, or my way is a great way and you should pattern yourself after me. No. Let me tell you, run away. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that I come from abject poverty and I've done okay. And it didn't start until the day I said, I'm not going to work. I'm going to create. And that day changed my life. It was some years ago, but it changed my life. And I would implore you, and the animal spirit guides are imploring you, the archetype, you know, of the Nine of Pentacles. Because if you look at the card, what you see is this this woman who's very associated with being an accomplished businesswoman, very independent. And if you look at all of the lush surroundings around her, the grapes and the lush colors and all that golden glow that gold would be, the sun energy, it is about, she's created a heaven on earth for herself. So the takeaways from today, don't be afraid to show the crystals on your hiney. I mean that in the most sincere way I can possibly mean it. And sit for yourself and see what you get out of marrying yesterday's reading with Pigeon, which was about internal self-worth, and today's reading about Waite Peacock, but inverted, which means you're not seeing things the way that you should, and you shouldn't be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Like, again, back to that lotto ticket. Let's say that you lose $20. Are you the type of person that'll go, I knew it, I shouldn't have done it, and I learned my lesson, I am not going to waste $20 again? I did an experiment one time when I was married. I did an experiment. I said to my now ex-husband, I said, I'm going to see if I can't turn $100 into $500 by the end of the week. Well, guess what? I did. Now, when you take out what I spent on lotto tickets, I netted $300 because I spent $200 before I made all of the $500 up. But I did. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about manifesting. A lot. And I learned a lot about creating my own heaven on earth with timing. And timing is a big part of this as well. So for instance, I didn't just randomly wake up on a day and go, hey, I'm going to get a lotto ticket now. I would sit in meditation the night before and I would say to Spirit, show me where in Gainesville to go and what time do I need to be there. It's that specific. So I hope, I most sincerely hope this reading is helpful to you, because having grown up in an environment where we were absolutely terrified one week to the next that we would not have food to eat, no joke, y'all, I know what it feels like to be in a place of non-abundance, in a place of lack. I understand the emotions, I understand the fears, and I just open my heart chakra to you so much. Remember that heart chakra is a green energy, and it passes through the blue of your throat chakra. And so everything that you want to utter, if you are going to work with this abundance thing, with the financial thing, let it come up through your heart and let that color meld with the color blue. So when it comes out, it's this deep, luscious, tealy color that's a blend of speaking your truth and everything that comes from deep, deep, deep inside of your heart. So, as always, do good for animals and stay wild.